So the first thing, it's always helpful to me when we're all together in a room like this, just to know kind of who's lifting up what community, if you will. So like, how many folks in the room are from labor, the labor movement proper? Okay. How many from EJ, civil rights, community justice? How many from like renewable business, that sort of clean energy space? And then Enviro's clean energy advocacy, kind of more very, okay. And then finally local government or government. Anybody? Okay, thanks. It just gives me a sense of the room. So as was said, I work for the Apollo Alliance, and what I want to do in my time, and where's Brenna? Brenna. Okay, someone do me a favor, Rory, like give me a little pat at 5 minutes, because I really want to drill down more on the labor aspects of this and workforce development, but I do want to open with sharing a little bit about the California Apollo Alliance and the Apollo Alliance more broadly. So at 5 really knocked me down, so I make sure to focus on the labor dimensions more concretely. So about, I think it was in September of '09 when Meg Whitman was announcing her candidacy for governor, she led with saying, and as you guys all know, that that on her first day of office as governor, if she were elected, she'd repeal AB 32 by executive order. So that launched a lot of concern on the Apollo Alliance's advisory board. This is even before Prop 23 came online, that we really need to frame clean energy growth and good job growth in our state as a critical economic strategy for pulling us out of the recession, for building quality jobs and so forth. So we came up with the idea for this sort of framing big picture document. The Apollo Alliance, for those of you who haven't heard of us, we're a coalition of labor, EJ, environmental, and renewable business organizations advocating for clean energy and good jobs. We're national, but our national office is based in San Francisco. And we've got state affiliates in California, Ohio, Michigan, New York, Indiana, and several other states. And we've got local city affiliates in, we had one in San Diego, so clearly we need to kind of ramp that up again. Los Angeles, a quite strong chapter, and one in Oakland also. Just to give you a sense of who we are, because they're all local players and political folks that many of you know and engage with, the State Building Trades Council, NRDC, SunPower Corporation, Ella Baker, Sierra Club, Center for Race, Poverty, and the Environment, CLCV, Cal SMACNA, which is a joint committee on, it's an energy, it's a joint partnership with the sheet metal workers and the sheet metal contractors. And at the time, IBEW 569, which is a good progressive IBEW local down in San Diego, so I want to make sure to hook up a little more and make some links, although I know they're already working together, just figure out how to make it, the labor side, lift it up more. So I'm just going to, in the interest of time, say that we had 4 main planks, and I brought a whole suitcase full of these documents to give you. Someone came in and they're like, are you going somewhere? Why do you have a suitcase? So I was like, well, actually I won't. So I hope you guys will take these. But we had 4 main political priorities in this document. One was to create jobs by transforming the way California creates and uses energy. 2, to create jobs by maintaining California's global leadership in the clean energy economy. 3, create jobs by making it in California by Californians, do things like manufacturing tax credits, revolving loan funds, and so on, so we actually produce more of our clean energy parts here in our state. And finally, create economic prosperity for all and tap the skills and productivity of the California workforce. So I'm going to then blow through some of these in hopes that you really will take my my plea seriously, that you take these home and share them with all your friends and family. So I'm not going to get into all the details of the California Apollo program, so I can spend more time on the jobs piece. But this is just basically the kind of key parts of those 4 main planks I just talked about. Hey, I haven't even, I'm switching this and I'm not switching this. That's really bad. I needed a dry run. I was like, I'm going through all my slides really nice. So that's the goal of the California Apollo program. I walked through that. How come it's not? Okay. Create jobs by, like I said, transforming the way California creates and uses energy, maintaining our global leadership in the clean energy economy, making it in California, creating prosperity for all, and tapping the skills and productivity of California's workforce. Here's where I want to drill down for just a couple of minutes to share with you that yesterday the PUC in partnership, and actually there was a UC Berkeley Labor Center study. It was led by Carol Zabin, who's a labor economist out of the UC Berkeley Labor Center. She was contracted by the PUC to do this study on workforce. And the main findings of that study were released in a press conference in Sacramento yesterday. And I just want to share some of this. And I walked in late, unfortunately, didn't hear all of Mark's talk. But I think some of their findings are in line with what I kind of understand were some of the points. But to help California meet its energy efficiency goals and maximize related job opportunities, the researchers recommended the following actions. Continue to strengthen policies and programs to improve energy efficiency, reduce peak demand, and develop localized distributed energy generation. 2, set clear skill certification requirements for workers doing energy efficiency work and encourage businesses to adopt them, particularly as new technologies are introduced. And this is trying to make sure that green jobs are good jobs. It's all at the end of the day trying to ensure that these are quality jobs that support families. 3, support employers who invest in stable, higher skill and higher wage workforces by encouraging building codes and other regulations. I want to give a shout out to Eric and Dave from the sheet metal workers who spend their lives on this and are deep experts. By setting standards on contractors who receive public and ratepayer funded incentives or contracts, and by requiring skill certifications for workers. Focus workforce education and training on greening the traditional trade occupations. What they found is that there's not going to be a ton of jobs just in narrow green-only spaces like energy auditors. That's not going to be a burgeoning field of high-quality jobs. A lot of the work, like installing solar panels and so on, is going to be within the context of the current construction trades frameworks. And so by having efficiency standards, strong building code standards, and enforcements of those standards, you ensure that we're not getting low road contractors race to the bottom, but high road. It rewards responsible business practices. Okay, and finally, just to share this report, support strong on-ramps into professional jobs and apprenticeships for Californians from disadvantaged low-income communities through career technical education and pre-apprenticeship programs in high school and community colleges. There's an effort being made by the pro tem right now, Darrell Steinberg, to do just that. In this special session, there's a bill. And so those are some of the main findings. And so I wanted to go a little deeper on workforce. But now I want to get to the structure of the labor movement. You know, in terms of this is really hard for me to do both of these things at once. It's like walking and chewing gum to try to go through my slides and these slides. So I'm just going to quickly give a shout out to this because Al covered a lot of it. But in terms of decentralized generation, providing local economic benefits, and Al even shared the slide with me, which got it in this, is Dan Kamen, who a lot of you know out of UC Berkeley, says that in the localized decentralized energy generation, we get 3 times the number of jobs than large-scale renewable projects, 280,000 job years into 2020, and increased state revenue by $1.7 billion. I'm going to skip through some of these in the interest of time. This is where I really wanted to focus more. In terms of so I spent 15 years working in the labor movement, a few years in the EJ movement, a few years working in the state legislature for Tom Hayden. But what I want to underscore here is that on the right side, I guess, stage left side, union jobs, that's really, if you go into any mainstream labor setting, you talk about jobs, you're going to have people's attention. Union jobs, that's good. That's really first and foremost what any rank and file elected union president is going to focus on first. There's, I would call sort of enlightened people, like you all, Dawn, Eric, Dave, out there, who really think about, I have a value around clean energy and efficiency and a value around quality jobs. How do I marry those two? How do we lead on crafting the policies, working with the PUC, working with the CUC, lobbying key progressive electeds to make sure we get the kind of policies that are going to do the dual goals of advancing the clean energy economy and doing it in a way that creates quality jobs. Those are, I don't want to say few and far between, but we have a lot of work to do, and that's where kind of the pitch to the people in this room comes in. There's people, when I say engagement of your sector, there's like the IBEW has an advanced lighting training center. They're like, this is a burgeoning field. Let's kind of get on the front of the training so we make sure that the jobs that come out of our apprenticeship programs are like the cutting edge people who know the most about advanced lighting. That will make us competitive, not just because we're unions, not because we can just shift around our political power, but because we have cutting edge trained, best practices. There's some people, and I just want to underscore this, visionary labor is on the right side. There's visionary leadership related to jobs, but there's also visionary leadership related to climate change. Just to get to some of the points Krista was making, There's a group called laborforsustainability.org, and I'd really welcome you to check that out. It's led by a guy named Joe Uline, who worked for the AFL-CIO for 30 years. But the value of them is they're asking the hard questions of labor. Yeah, you guys have mine workers who are employed in coal mines. But what about the fact that we can't rely on coal anymore if we want to meet our carbon reduction goals? Same with nuclear, in light of the tragedy we're seeing unfolding before our very eyes. So they're asking the tough questions that are sometimes harder to ask in labor settings, which gets to, I guess, to my final slide. This is just a quick rundown of the kinds of unions, and you've probably engaged with many of them, as it relates to this sector. So if lighting, solar energy, public utilities, the Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, weatherization, skylights, glaziers, mass transit employees. I'm happy to make a copy of these slides available if you just want to know kind of who are the unions, who are the go-to unions, if you will. But this I'll want to close on. These are the folks, and most of us are from California, that we really, I think, need to build deeper inroads into. So the California Labor Fed, right here in Oakland, office in Sacramento, they are the umbrella organization for all the labor unions in the state. And they have a workforce and economic development department, small, and they're kind of nonpartisan. I think it's a challenge incumbent upon all of us to engage more with the legislative side of the state Fed to get behind them taking the lead on a lot of clean energy bills in a much more active way. We have 2.1 million union members in this state. We could leverage our political power in a lot more concerted, strategic way. And so I would urge that of you. Central labor councils, Mark knows this well, based in counties. So we have our Alameda Labor Council here, San Francisco. Most counties have one. So you'll see that's a great place to go because they care about all of the labor unions at once. So and they're geographically based. So they care about air quality, water quality. They're not just representing the narrow interests of one sector, but rather the well-being for working families in that county or area. So totally form a relationship with the heads of central labor councils. And then you can get down to the individual locals. So in green, I just said talk to them, meet with them. We need to build relationships. And in conclusion, we can't afford not to build and strengthen the clean energy economy, which we all know, but we need to do so in a way that better educates, politicizes, and mobilizes our key allied partners. And I would just really underscore how I think labor's got a lot of power that could be leveraged. It's its own renewable source of energy that we need to empower and work with and not be afraid of. There are different structures in a lot of our community-based organizations, but they're open, meet with their leaders, and let's build this stronger. And here's just a couple of resources. And there again is the Labor Network for Sustainability's website. Thank you.